The first time I heard the doll breathe, I thought it was my imagination. Not a creak, not fabric shifting. Breathing. Slow, wet, shaky breathing coming from the corner of my bedroom at exactly 3:17 a.m. I remember lying frozen under my blanket, staring into the darkness while my phone screen lit the room just enough for me to see her silhouette sitting on the shelf beside the two clown dolls. And then, one of the clowns slowly turned its head toward me. I swear to God it moved. Not all at once. Not like in movies. It twitched. Tiny little jerks. As if something inside it was learning how to use the body. That was the moment I realized bringing that doll home was the biggest mistake of my life. I've always loved vintage dolls. Porcelain faces, old stitched dresses, faded eyes. There was something beautiful about them. Something sad. I had 3 dolls in total. 2 clown dolls that looked almost identical except for different color themes. And then her. The thrift store doll. I found her buried behind broken lamps and dusty paintings in a tiny thrift shop outside town. The old woman working there looked nervous the second I picked it up. "You shouldn't take that one," she whispered. I laughed because I thought she was joking. "Why?" Her face went pale. "That thing comes back." I should have listened. But I bought the doll anyway. The moment I brought her into my apartment, things started disappearing. First it was jewelry. Then 2 crystals I kept near my mirror vanished completely. I searched everywhere, but found nothing. At first, I blamed myself. Then the accident started. Every time I moved the clown dolls away from their usual spot, something would fall in my room. Always something important. Mostly my phone. I'd leave it flat on my bed, walk into another room, and seconds later, crash. I'd run back and find it lying face down on the floor. Sometimes plushies fell from shelves for no reason. Once, a glass candle exploded in the middle of the night. But deep down, I already knew. It was her. The thrift store doll. She hated when the clown dolls were moved. Like she was protecting them, watching them, guarding them. A week ago, out of frustration, I finally said something out loud. "If this is really you, give me a sign." I expected nothing. But the next day, I found my missing ring. The ring I lost a year and a half ago. Inside a bag I bought only 2 months earlier. The second I touched it, my stomach dropped cold. Because the ring wasn't dusty. It looked newly placed there. And wrapped around it was a long strand of black hair. I live alone. My hair is blonde. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every little sound in my room felt wrong. At around 2:46 a.m., I heard something tiny tap against wood. Tap, tap, tap. I grabbed my phone flashlight and slowly pointed it toward the shelf. The clown dolls were still there, but the thrift store doll was gone. My chest tightened instantly. I sat up too fast and scanned the room. Nothing. Then my flashlight landed near my closet, and I stopped breathing. The doll was sitting on the floor, facing me. She hadn't been there before. I know she hadn't. Her cracked porcelain face looked different somehow. Her smile wider than I remembered. And beside her, one of the clown dolls was missing too. Suddenly, my closet door creaked open by itself. Very slowly. The darkness inside looked deeper than normal, like it wasn't my closet anymore. Then I heard it. A child whispering from inside. "Don't let her see you move." I couldn't breathe. I couldn't scream. And then, something inside the closet stood up. Not human. Too tall. Its head bent sideways with a loud cracking sound as 2 glowing eyes slowly opened in the darkness. My phone flashlight started flickering violently. The whisper came again. Closer this time. "She likes your face." Then the closet door slammed shut so hard the mirror beside it shattered across the room. I screamed and ran out of my apartment barefoot into the hallway. But before the door closed behind me, I heard tiny footsteps running across my bedroom ceiling, and a little girl laughing. Right above my head that I didn't go back into my apartment that night. I sat trembling in my car until sunrise, staring at my bedroom window from the parking lot. Every light inside was off, but around 4:12 a.m., I saw movement behind the curtains. Small shapes, like children running back and forth inside my room. At first I thought maybe exhaustion was making me hallucinate. Then one of the curtains slowly pulled back, and I saw the doll standing in the window, watching me. 3rd floor. No one had gone inside. My stomach turned so violently I almost threw up. The doll's cracked porcelain face looked pale in the moonlight, but her smile was different now. Wider, stretching too far across her cheeks like skin being pulled apart. Then the curtain snapped shut. I drove away immediately. The next morning I returned with my friend Mia because I was too terrified to enter alone. I didn't tell her everything. just that I thought someone broke into my apartment. The second we stepped inside, the smell hit us. Rotting flowers, wet dirt, and something metallic underneath it. Like blood. The apartment looked mostly normal, except my bedroom door was open. I knew I had shut it before running. Mia walked in first, then froze. What the hell? Every doll in my room had been moved. The two clown dolls sat together in the center of my bed, facing the doorway. And the thrift store doll sat in my computer chair, facing the mirror. But that wasn't the worst part. Words had been scratched into the mirror, deep enough to crack the glass. "Don't take them away from me." Mia laughed nervously. "This has to be some prank." But her voice shook. Then we both noticed something else. The dolls' clothes were wet. Not water. Mud. Dark, thick mud that smelled like a graveyard after rain. Mia touched one of the clown dolls and immediately jerked her hand back. "It's warm." I stared at her. "What?" "It's warm," she whispered again. "Like body temperature." That was enough for me. I grabbed a trash bag and decided I was getting rid of all 3 dolls immediately. The second I picked up the thrift store doll, every light in my apartment went out. Pitch black. Mia screamed. Something moved beside us. Fast. Not footsteps. Crawling. Like hands and feet dragging across the walls. Then came the giggling. Children giggling from every corner of the room. My phone flashlight turned on automatically in my hand, even though I never touched it. And when the beam lit the wall above my bed, I almost collapsed. There were handprints. Hundreds of them. Tiny, muddy children's handprints covering the ceiling. Moving. Sliding slowly toward us. Mia started crying. "We need to leave right now." Then the closet door burst open, and something crawled out. At first it looked like a little girl. Long black hair covering her face. White dress. Bare feet bent the wrong direction. But when she lifted her head, her mouth stretched from ear to ear. Too many teeth. Rows and rows of human teeth packed inside her jaw like needles. The thing screamed. Not loud. High-pitched. Like a dying animal mixed with a child laughing. The dolls all turned toward us at the exact same time. Mia grabbed my arm and we ran. But before reaching the bedroom door, something yanked my hair violently backward. I hit the floor hard. And I saw her. The thrift store doll. Standing. Actually standing beside me. Her tiny porcelain hand wrapped in my hair. Her eyes weren't glass anymore. They moved. Blinking slowly. Wet. Alive. Then she spoke. A tiny broken whisper. "You asked for a sign." I kicked backward and scrambled away screaming. Mia dragged me into the hallway while the apartment behind us erupted with noises. Glass breaking, furniture slamming, children laughing. And underneath all of it, heavy footsteps. Something enormous walking inside my bedroom. We ran downstairs and didn't stop until we reached the parking lot. That's when Mia suddenly grabbed my shoulder hard enough to hurt. Her face had gone completely white. "What's wrong?" I asked. She pointed upward. My apartment window. All 3 dolls stood there together, watching us. But behind them, towering over them in the darkness, was the outline of something impossibly tall. Its head scraped the ceiling, long arms dangling almost to the floor. And even from 3 stories below, I could see its eyes. 2 glowing white eyes staring directly at me. Then my phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. I answered with shaking hands. At first there was only static. Then a little girl whispered, "She knows you're leaving." A pause. Then, "She's coming with you." After the phone call, I made Mia drive. My hands were shaking too badly to hold the steering wheel. Neither of us spoke for almost 10 minutes. The silence inside the car felt wrong. Heavy, like someone else was sitting with us. Then Mia suddenly whispered, "Don't look in the back seat." My heart stopped. Of course, the first thing I did was look. At first, I saw nothing except darkness. Then lightning flashed outside the windows. And for one split second, I saw the thrift store doll sitting directly behind me, smiling. I screamed so loudly Mia nearly crashed the car. She slammed the brakes, both of us twisting around to look. The seat was empty. Nothing there. But the smell of wet dirt filled the car instantly. Mia started crying. "No, no, no." We left them there. I wanted to believe we were imagining things. Until I noticed muddy footprints on the inside of the windows. Tiny footprints. Like a child had walked across the glass upside down. I stayed at Mia's apartment that night because I refused to go home. We shoved chairs under the doors, locked every window, and kept every light on. Around midnight, Mia finally fell asleep on the couch beside me. I couldn't. Every tiny noise made my chest tighten. The refrigerator humming. Pipes creaking. rain hitting the windows. Then at exactly 3:03 a.m., the TV turned on by itself. Static filled the room. Loud. I grabbed the remote and muted it instantly. But the static kept going. That's when I realized. The sound wasn't coming from the TV. It was coming from the hallway. A low crackling noise, like whispering through broken speakers. Then came the dragging sound. Something being pulled slowly across the floor outside the apartment. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Mia woke up immediately. What is that? I didn't answer, because I already knew. The dragging stopped directly outside the front door. Silence. Then, knock, knock, knock. 3 soft knocks. Mia whispered, "Don't open it." I wasn't planning to. Then a little girl's voice came from the other side. "I found you." My blood turned ice cold. The doorknob started turning slowly. Back and forth. Back and forth. But we had locked it. Then the scratching began. Tiny fingernails scraping the wood. Slow. Patient. Like something enjoying our fear. Mia grabbed her phone to call the police. No signal. Mine too. Dead. Then all the apartment lights shut off at once. Darkness swallowed the room. And in the dark, something giggled. Inside the apartment. Not outside anymore. Inside. Mia screamed as a shadow moved across the kitchen ceiling unnaturally fast. I turned my flashlight on and nearly vomited. The clown dolls were sitting at the end of the hallway. We had not brought them with us. Mud dripped from their clothes onto the floor, and between them stood the thrift store doll. But she looked wrong now. Her porcelain face was cracked open wider, exposing something black moving underneath like insects crawling inside her head. Her eyes rolled upward slowly until only the whites showed. Then her mouth opened, too wide, far beyond what porcelain should allow, and dozens of tiny human whispers poured out together. "You shouldn't have left us." The hallway ceiling suddenly bulged downward, like something huge was crawling above us inside the walls. Plaster cracked. Dust rained down. Then a hand punched through the ceiling. Not human. Long gray fingers. Too many joints. It grabbed the edge of the hole and pulled downward. The entire ceiling collapsed, and that thing dropped into the hallway, at least 8 feet tall. Its arms dragged across the floor. Its skin looked stretched over bones that bent the wrong way. And its face, dear God, its face had no eyes, just smooth pale skin, except for one giant mouth running vertically down its head, opening slowly like rotten meat splitting apart. Inside the mouth were rows of moving teeth, and trapped between them, human fingers, still twitching. The creature bent toward the dolls almost lovingly. Then its mouth opened wider and a child's voice came from inside it. "She belongs to us now." Mia grabbed my arm and ran toward the fire escape. The creature shrieked so loudly every window exploded inward. Glass tore across my arms as we stumbled outside into the rain. But before escaping down the stairs, I looked back through the broken window, and I wish I hadn't, because the thrift store doll was no longer standing in the hallway. She was standing directly behind Mia, smiling up at her, one tiny hand slowly reaching toward the back of her neck. Then Mia froze completely, her entire body locked stiff, and in a tiny voice that did not sound like her anymore. She whispered, "She says she remembers you." My stomach dropped, because I had never seen that doll before the thrift store. Or at least, I thought I hadn't. The moment Mia said those words, "She says she remembers you," I knew something was horribly wrong. Not with the doll, with me. Rain hammered the fire escape, while Mia stood completely still, facing away from me. Her body trembled unnaturally, tiny jerking movements like a puppet struggling against invisible strings. "Mia," I whispered, slowly, very slowly. She turned around and smiled. Not her smile. Too wide, too empty, exactly like the doll. Then she spoke in a tiny childlike voice. "You left me underground." A violent pain exploded inside my head. Suddenly memories I didn't recognize flooded my mind. Darkness, cold dirt, children crying, a little girl humming, and dolls. Hundreds of dolls hanging from the ceiling of a small underground room. I stumbled backward, clutching my head. No. The doll was still standing behind Mia, staring directly at me with those wet, blinking eyes. Then she whispered, "Remember the basement?" And instantly, I did. When I was 9 years old, my parents moved into an old farmhouse for one summer before my father disappeared. They always told me he abandoned us. But that wasn't true. I remembered now. There was a basement beneath that house. A hidden one. and my father had forbidden me from going there. But one night, while my parents slept, I heard crying beneath the floorboards. A little girl crying. I followed the sound carrying my flashlight and found the hidden door beneath the kitchen rug. The basement smelled like rotten water and mold, and inside it sat a little girl surrounded by dolls. Her dress was dirty white. Her black hair covered most of her face. At first I thought she was real, until she looked up. Porcelain skin, glass eyes, cracked smile, the exact same doll. She told me her name was Evelyn, and she asked me to play. I remembered sitting with her for hours while she whispered strange things in my ear. About the tall man, about the mouths in the walls, about how lonely she was. Then she asked me for something, a promise. She wanted me to bring her another friend. I refused, and that's when the basement door slammed shut. The walls started moving, breathing. Hundreds of tiny hands pushed out from inside the wood reaching for me, and the tall man crawled from the darkness. The same creature from Mia's apartment. I remembered its horrible vertical mouth opening while children screamed inside it. I escaped somehow, but before I got out, I shoved the doll into a hole beneath the basement floorboards and buried her there. I left her underground, alive, and now she had come back. Mia suddenly began walking down the fire escape stairs slowly, too slowly, like someone controlling her body. Mia stopped. She kept walking. The doll followed behind her step by step. Then all the lights in the apartment building shut off at once. Every window, every hallway. Darkness swallowed the building, and from inside every apartment, children started laughing. Doors creaked open upstairs. Dozens of footsteps shuffled in the dark. I looked up and nearly screamed. People were standing in every window of the building, motionless, watching me, but they weren't people anymore. Their heads tilted too far sideways. Their mouths hung open unnaturally wide, and every single one of them held a doll. Then the tall man appeared behind the windows, his giant body stretching across multiple apartments at once impossibly, bending through walls like smoke and flesh together. The building started shaking violently. Screams erupted inside. Mia reached the bottom of the stairs and stopped moving. The doll slowly climbed onto her shoulder. Then Mia looked up at me one final time. Tears streamed down her face while she whispered in her real voice, "Don't let her take me." Suddenly, the tall man's arm burst through the hallway wall behind her. It wrapped around Mia's waist instantly and dragged her backward into the darkness. Her scream, God, I still hear it every night. The sound of her nails scraping concrete as she disappeared into the blackness. Then silence, complete silence. The building lights came back on. Everything looked normal again. No broken windows, no screaming, no creature. Mia was gone. So was the doll. The police never found her. They think she ran away. But 3 nights later, I woke up at exactly 3:17 a.m. to the sound of breathing beside my bed. Slow, wet, shaky breathing. I turned toward the darkness and saw 3 figures sitting in the corner of my room. The 2 clown dolls and Evelyn, smiling, watching me sleep. Then a tiny whisper came from the dark. You promised us another friend. And beneath my bed, something enormous began to crawl. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment telling me what you think Evelyn really is, a haunted doll, a demon, or something far worse. And if this story terrified you, wait until you hear what was hiding underneath the basement floor the entire time.